Well, I want to, number one, thank you and this organization for hosting this event and for having this very wonderful gathering spot down here in the Canal District. And it's great. It's great. And I'd like to, in general, hear it for Holyoke tonight. Let's hear it for Holyoke. So we are, it's an interesting night. You will be starting by reading from the great speech by Frederick Douglass, and which I'm sorry to say, the way the world is, still is so relevant and needs to be listened to and responded to. And you will get a chance to read the words yourself, and then we will have a break, and we will have an excerpt from a play called July 5th by Ken Green, who is here with us tonight. And well, enough said. So.
Well, I'll just be very brief and thank everyone so much for coming down to De La Luz Divine Theatre. We are standing on the shoulders of Gateway City Arts and are thrilled to continue the legacy of making this space available for arts events of all kinds. Huge thank you to Holyoke Media for being here tonight and filming, the Holyoke Senior Center. Very happy to be collaborating with the Holyoke Senior Center. MIFA has put this together. Marie, Fleur, Dawn have done all of the legwork to make this happen this week. Thank you so much for all of the, and I think a round of applause for that one is in order.
Shout out for Mass Humanities.
Yes.
Mass Humanities. Just the phrase itself is worth being here for. Thank you for your help.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was coming next. We're all here because of the funding and the grant and the vision of Mass Humanities. We're now our neighbors here on Ray Street. So thank you for all of your work. Thank you all for being here. I'm so excited this is happening, and I look forward to what comes next.
Great. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to turn this microphone over to Fleur Kuta, who's going to explain the process of speechifying. So.
And I'm actually going to turn it over to Marcos Carreras, who is the music director of Revolution A Cappella, and he is going to teach us how to sing, lift every voice and sing. If you want to pull out your lyrics, he will walk us through it.
Hello, everyone. So if you have your fun little words, our choir is going to stand, and we're going to join us and teach you the beginning of this. We're going to learn the first verse. Yes, you should stand, of course, of course. It's like it's a national anthem. We'll try and do it where it's less painful to learn. All right, so we're going to learn the melody, which is the soprano line, and if you can sing it, if you want to sing it low, lift every voice and sing. If you want to sing it high, lift every voice and sing. It's high. All right. Ready? We're going to teach you the first part. We'll go like a couple measures at a time. Ready? Lift every voice. 1, 2, 3. Lift every voice and sing. Your turn. 1, 2, and we'll sing it with you. 3, and lift every voice and sing. Wow, can you come to my school? Come to my school. Till earth and heaven ring. Ready? Till earth and heaven ring. Oh my gosh, this is like church. Hey. Okay, let's do both parts together. So lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Oh my gosh, you guys are pros. Ring with the harmonies. Ready? And ring with the harmonies. Next part. Of liberty, of liberty. Don't be shy if you're a soprano. Great. Let's put those 2 lines together. 1, 2, look at you go. My basses can do that. Help them out. 1, 2, 3. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Fabulous. Next part. Let us rejoice in rise. It's high. Let us rejoice in rise. Next part. High as the listening skies. Ready? Do both 2 lines. Ready? We're going to go. Let us rejoice and rise. High as the listening skies. Easy part here. Let us resound loud as the rolling sea. So if we can put that whole first part together, we got magic. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let us rejoice in rise, high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Now we're going to open unison together, so it's going to be super powerful. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark has past taught us. Then this next part is going to go this cool minor chord. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has taught us. Good. We got that. Let's try that one more time. Sing a song. I'm going to sing the lower range. And sing a song full of the faith that the dark has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Breath. There we go. Facing the 3 and facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Give yourselves a hand. We're going to do this, put this thing together. Let's go. Let's go. All right. So a little bit about the National Black Anthem. So it was originally written in 1919 by a principal named John Rosemond. And his brother was also a teacher at this elementary school, James Weldon Johnson. Now, what's fascinating is that they did this in honor of the 75th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation from President Lincoln's. And so over time, some of the words has changed, and then in the 1950s, it was taken over by the Civil Rights Movement. And then, shortly after, it really got its own steam. It became a national anthem in the Southern churches, and then certainly with Black Lives Matter, right, it became really in the forefront of everything, not only in the 1950s, during the Civil Rights and 60s, but it really became a thing. And now you're seeing at the Super Bowl performed, right, every January, and it's performed also in baseball, the All-Star Game, and also the World Series. But we haven't crossed over to hockey yet, maybe because it's like a French-Canadian sport, but, we'll get there eventually, right, all in due time. Okay, so we're going to do all the verse together, then the choir is going to sing the second verse in all the chords, and then we'll all come back and sing the third verse together. We got it? Yes? Thumbs up? We do that in school now. Thumbs up, as you understand? Yes. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the heart. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let us resound loud as the rolling sea. Big breath. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Sing verse the choir. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat, have not unweary feet come to the place for which our people sigh. Everybody come in. Hey. We have come over the way that the tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Breath. From the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the bright gleam of our bright star is cast. Here we go, first beat. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Breath. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met Thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget Thee. Shadow beneath Thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. Woo! Yay, give yourselves a hand. Fabulous, everybody. Way to go.
Thank you so much, Marcos and Revolution. That was fabulous. All right, so I'm just going to explain as you all get settled, and I'm going to not trip over the microphone, how this is going to work. It's very casual, very informal. Do not think of it as, oh God, I have to get up and go perform something. You're just going to be reading. So, by a show of hands, who is interested in reading tonight?
All the choir.
All the choir. And I got some in the audience. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, I'm going to need one brave soul to go first. However, I'll let you contemplate that as I wait. So what's going to happen, as you see on your script, these are broken up into stanzas. You can read one stanza if that's what you're comfortable with, but if you want to read the whole page, that's even better. So we can just do it in chunks of, once you feel like you're done, you can go back and sit down. I'm going to adjust this microphone stand so you will not have to hold it the way I am this entire time. that's pretty much how it's going to work. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, cool. Question? You should come up and just to use the mic so we can hear everybody over the AC. Again, you're not in a spotlight. We're all in this room together. It's okay. I heard another question. Other question? You'll see on the page. It's just sort of. Yes. It's just to brief you, if you didn't know, this is a speech given by Frederick Douglass on July 5th, 1852, and we're just reading an abridged version of it. So it's different people speaking as the same voice, Frederick Douglass. That's all. Huh? Oh, yeah, it's just going to be a volunteer system. Yeah, no, sorry, I misunderstood you, but yeah, cool. Oh, thank you. All right. Who's brave?
All right. Okay. Can I like hold it when I do it? Absolutely. All right. Okay. I'm going. Okay. All right. Okay. Mr. President, friends, and fellow citizens, the task before me is one which requires much previous thought and study for its proper performance. The papers and placards say that I am to deliver the 4th of July oration. This certainly sounds large and out of the common way, for it is true that I have often had the privilege to speak in this beautiful hall and to address many who honor me with their presence. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, the distance between this platform and the slave plantation from which I escaped is considerable, and the difficulties to be overcome in getting from the latter to the former are by no means slight. That I am here today is to me a matter of astonishment as well as of gratitude.
This, for the purpose of this celebration, is the 4th of July. It is the birthday of your national independence and of your political freedom. This to you is what the Passover was to be emancipated people of God. Was to the emancipated people of God. It carries your minds back to the day and to the act of your great deliverance. This celebration also marks the beginning of another year of your national life and reminds you that the Republic of America is now 76 years old. I am glad, fellow citizens, that your nation is so young. You are, even now, only in the beginning of your national career, still lingering in the period of childhood. I repeat, I am glad this is so. There is hope in the thought, and hope is much needed under the dark clouds which lower above the horizon.
Fellow citizens, the simple story is that 76 years ago, the people of this country were British subjects. The style and title of your sovereign people, in which your now glory, was not then born. You were under the British crown. Your father esteemed the English government as the home government. England as the fatherland, although a considerable distance from your home, imposed in the exercise of its parental prerogatives upon its colonial children such restraints, burdens, and limitations as in its mature judgment it deemed wise, right, and proper.
But your fathers, who had not adopted the idea of infallibility of government and the absolute character of its acts, presumed to differ from the home government in respect to the wisdom and to the justice of some of those burdens and restraints. They went so far as to pronounce the measure of government unjust, unreasonable, and oppressive, and the measure of government and altogether such as thought not to be quietly submitted to. I scarcely need say, fellow citizens, that my opinion of those measures fully accords with that of our fathers. feeling themselves harshly and unjustly treated by the home of government. Your fathers, like men of honesty and men of spirit, earnestly sought redress. They positioned and remedistrated. They did so in a decreased, respectful, and loyal manner. This, however, did not answer the purpose. They saw themselves treated with sovereign indifferences, coldness, and scorn.
Oppression makes a wise man mad. Your fathers became restive under this treatment. They felt themselves the victims of grievous wrongs, wholly incurable in their colonial capacity. With brave men, there is always a remedy for oppression. Just here, the idea of a total separation of the colonies from the crown was born. It was a startling idea, much more so than we, at this distance of time, regarded. The timid and prudent of that day were, of course, shocked and alarmed by it. Their opposition to the then dangerous thought was earnest and powerful, but amid all their terror and a frightened I don't know what this word is, I am so sorry. Vociferation, thank you, against it, the alarming and revolutionary idea moved on, and the country with it.
On the 2nd of July, 1776, the Old Continental Congress, to the dismay of the lovers of ease and the worshippers of property, clothed that dreadful idea with all the authority of national sanction. They did so in the form of a resolution. We seldom hit upon resolutions drawn up in our day whose transparency is at all equal. It resolved that these united colonies are, and of right, out to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown.
Citizens, your fathers made good that resolution. They succeeded, and today you reap the fruits of their success. The freedom gained is yours, and you, therefore, may properly celebrate this anniversary. The 4th of July is the first great fact in your nation's history, the very ring bolt in the chain of your yet undeveloped destiny.
All you left me with? Seriously? Okay. Fellow citizens, I am not wanting in respect for the fathers of this republic. The signers of the Declaration of Independence were brave men. I cannot contemplate their best great deeds with less than admiration. They were statesmen, patriots, and heroes. And for the good they did, and for the principles they contended for, I will unite you with honor for their memory. They love their country better than their own. Is it the right part?
You're on 9, and I think that is. Yep.
Better than their own. Private interests, and they all will secede. This is a rare virtue that ought to command respect. He who will intergently lay down his life for his country is a man whom it is not in human nature to despite. Your fathers staked their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor on the cause of their country.
They were peacemen, but they preferred revolution to peaceful submission to bondage. They were quiet men, but they did not shrink from agitating against oppression. They showed forbearance, but they knew its limits. They believed in order, but not in the order of tyranny. With them, nothing was settled that was not right. With them, justice, liberty, and humanity were final. not slavery and oppression. You may well cherish the memory of such men. They were great in their day and generation. Their solid manhood stands out the more as we contrast it with these degenerate times.
How circumspect, exact, and proportionate were all their movements. How unlike the politicians of an hour. Their statesmanship looked beyond the passing moment and stretched away in strength into the distant future, fully appreciating the hardship to be encountered, firmly believing in the right of their cause, wisely measuring the terrible odds against them. Your fathers, the fathers of this republic, laid the cornerstone of the national superstructure, which has risen and still rises in grandeur around you. Of this fundamental work, this day is the anniversary.
My business, if I have any here today, is with the present. The accepted time with God and his cause is the ever-living now. We have to do with the past only as we can make it useful to the present and to the future. Now is the time, the important time. Your fathers have lived, died, and have done their work, and have done much of it well. You live and must die, and you must do your work. You have no right to enjoy a child's share in the labor of your fathers unless your children are to be blessed by your labors. You have no right to wear out and waste the hard-earned fame of your fathers to cover your indolence.
Fellow citizens, pardon me, allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What I have, or those I represent, to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us? And am I, therefore, called upon to bring our humble offering to the national altar, and to confess the benefits and express devout gratitude for the blessings resulting from your independence to us?
Hello? Oh. Well, to God, both for your sakes and ours, that affirmative answer could be truthfully returned to these questions. Then would my task be light and my burden easy and delightful. But such is not the state of the case. I say it with a sad sense of the disparity between us. I am not included within the pale of the glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us.
Latoya, and then you.
The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and dependence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me. The sunlight that brought life and healing to you has brought me stripes and death to me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice. I must mourn. to drag a man in fetters into the grand illuminated temple of liberty and call upon him to join you in joyous anthems where inhuman mockery and sacrilegious irony? Do you mean, citizens, to mock me by asking me to speak today? Fellow citizens, above your national tumultuous joy, I hear the mournful wail of millions whose chains, heavy and grievous yesterday, are today rendered more intolerable by the jubilee shouts that reach them.
Don't care who, but somebody's got to do 17.
Sorry. Okay. My subject, then fellow citizens, is American slavery. I shall see this day from the slave's point of view, standing here, identified with the American bondman, making his wrongs mine. I do not hesitate to declare with all my soul that the character and conduct of this nation never looked blacker to me than on this 4th of July. Whether we turn to the declarations of the past or to the professions of the present, the conduct of the nation seems equally hideous and revolting. America is false to the past, false to the present, and solemnly binds herself to be false to the future.
Who do I have?
18, right? Okay, guys. Standing with God and the crushed and bleeding slave on this occasion, I will, in the name of humanity, which is outraged, in the name of liberty, which is fettered, in the name of constitution, in the Bible, which are discredited and trampled upon, dare to call into question and to denounce with all emphasis, I can command everything that serves to perpetrate slavery, the great sin, and shame of America.
Anybody else from the audience, maybe? Ken. Thank you, Ken.
I fancy I hear someone in my audience say, it is just in this circumstance that you and your brother abolitionists fail to make a favorable impression on the public mind. Would you argue more and denounce less? Would you persuade more and rebuke less? Your cause would be much more likely to succeed. But I submit, where all is plain, there's nothing to be argued. What point is there in anti-slavery creed would you have me argue? Must I undertake to prove that the slave is a man? The slaveholders themselves acknowledge it in their enactment of laws for their government. They acknowledge it when they punish disobedience on the part of the slave. There are 72 crimes in the state of Virginia which, if committed by a black man, subject him to punishment of death, while only 2 of the same crimes will subject a white man to like punishment. What is this but the acknowledgement that a slave is a moral, intellectual, and responsible being? Southern statute books are covered with enactments forbidding, under severe fines and penalties, the teaching of the slave to read or to write. When you can point to any such laws in reference to the beasts of the field, then I may consent to argue that the manhood of the slave. When the dogs in your streets, when the fowls of the air, when the cattle on your hills, when the fish of the sea and the reptiles that crawl shall be unable to distinguish the slave from a brute, then will I argue with you that the slave is a man.
Come on up.
For the present, it is enough to affirm the equal manhood of the Negro race. It is not astonishing that while we are plowing, planting, and reaping, using all kinds of mechanical tools, erecting houses, constructing bridges, building ships, working in metals of brass, iron, copper, silver, and gold, that while we are reading, writing, and ciphering, acting as clerks, merchants, and secretaries, having among us lawyers, doctors, ministers, poets, authors, editors, orators, and teachers, that while we are engaged in all manner of enterprises common to other men, digging gold in California, capturing the whale in the Pacific, feeding sheep and cattle on the hillside, living, moving, acting, thinking, planning, living in families as husbands, wives, and children, and above all, confessing and worshiping the Christian's God, and looking hopefully for life and immortality beyond the grave, we are called upon to prove that we are men.
You're on 23.
Would you have me argue that man is entitled to liberty, that he is the rightful owner of his own body? You have already declared it. Must I argue the wrongfulness of slavery? It is to be settled by the rules of logic and argumentation as a matter beset with great difficulty involving a doubtful application of the principle of justice, hard to be understood. How should I look today in the presence of Americans to show that men have a natural right to freedom? To do so would be to make myself ridiculous and to offer an insult to your understanding. There is not a man beneath the canopy of heaven that does not know that slavery is wrong for him.
I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to go. Come on up. All right. If you want to do 24 and 25.
Sure.
What am I to argue that it is wrong to make men brutes, to rob them of their liberty, to work them without wages, to keep them ignorant of their relations to their fellow men, to beat them with sticks, to flay their flesh with the lash, to load their limbs in irons, to hunt them with dogs, to sell them at auction, to sunder their families, to knock out their teeth, to burn their flesh, to starve them into obedience and submission to their masters? Must I argue that a system thus marked with blood and stained with pollution is wrong? No, I will not. I have better employments for my time and strength than such arguments would apply. What then remains to be argued? Is it that slavery is not divine, that God did not establish it, that our doctors of divinity are mistaken? There is blasphemy in the thought. That which is inhuman cannot be divine. Who can reason on such a proposition? I cannot. The time for such argument is past.
Do I have anyone? Yes, come on.
Okay. At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument, is needed. Oh, I had the ability, and could I reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed. And its crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced. Nope.
Got the title passage.
What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. your boasted liberty in unholy license, your national greatness swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless, your denunciations of tyrants brass-fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy, then fail to cover up the crimes for which disgrace a nation of savages. There is not a nation on earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than there are the people of these United States at this very hour. Go where you may, search where you will, roam through all the monarchies and despotisms of the world, search out every abuse, and when you have found the last, lay your facts by the side of the everyday practices of this nation, and you will say with me that for revolting barbarity and shameless hypocrisy, America reigns without a rival.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. Okay.
Take the American slave trade, which is especially prosperous just now and carried on in all the large towns and cities in 1.5 of this Confederacy. In several states, this trade is a chief source of wealth. It is called the internal slave trade, in order to divert from it the horror for which the foreign slave trade is contemplated. That trade has long since been denounced by this government as piracy, as an exercible traffic. To arrest it, this nation keeps a squadron at immense cost on the coast of Africa. Everywhere in this country, it is safe to speak of this foreign slave trade as a most inhumane traffic, opposed alike to the laws of God and of man. It is, however, a notable fact that while so much execration is poured out by Americans upon those engaged in the foreign slave trade, the men engaged in the slave trade between the states pass without condemnation, and their business is deemed honorable.
You're on 30. Behold the practical, yes, I'm shorter. Thank you. Behold the practical operation of this internal slave trade, the American slave trade, sustained by American politics and American religion. Here you will see men and women reared like swine for the market. You know what is a swine drover? I will show you a man drover. They inhabit all our southern states. They preambulate the country and crowd the highways of the nation with droves of human stock. You will see one of these human flesh jobbers, armed with pistol, whip, and bowie knife, driving a company of 100 men, women, and children from the Potomac to the slave market in New Orleans. These wretched people are to be sold singly or in lots to suit purchasers. They're food for the cotton fields and the deadly sugar mills. Right, you are on 31. You got this.
Mark the sad procession as it moves wearily along, and the inhuman wretch who drives them. Hear his savage yells and his blood-chilling oaths as he hurries on. Thank you. Hurries. Bruh, hold on, I lost my place. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Mark the sad procession as it moves wearily along and the inhuman wretch who drives them. Hear his savage yells and his blood-curdling oaths as he hurries on his affrighted captives. There, see the old man with locks thinned and gray. Cast one glance, if you please, upon that young mother whose shoulders are bare to the scorching sun, her briny tears falling on the brow of the babe in her arms. See, too, that girl of 13, weeping, yes, weeping, as she thinks of the mother from whom she has been torn. The drove moves tardily. Heat and sorrow have nearly consumed their strength. Suddenly, you hear a quick snap, like the discharge of a rifle. The fetters clank and the chain rattles simultaneously. Your ears are salted with a scream that seems to have torn its way to the center of your soul. The crack you heard was the sound of the slave whip. The scream you heard was from the woman you saw with the babe. Her speed had faltered under the weight of her child and her chains. That gash on her shoulder tells her to move on.
Follow the drove to New Orleans. Attend the auction. See men examined like horses. See the forms of women rudely and brutally exposed to the shocking gaze of American slave buyers. See this drove sold and separated forever. And never forget the deep, sad sobs that arose from that scattered multitude. Tell me, citizens, where? Under the sun? You can witness a spectacle more fiendish and shocking. Yet, this is but a glance at the American slave trade as it exists at this moment in the United States.
Anyone who hasn't gone yet want to take a stab? You'll be next. All right, you can do 32.
Fellow citizens, this murderous traffic is today in active operation in this boasted republic. In the solitude of my spirit, I see clouds of dust raised on the highways of the South. I see the bleeding footsteps. I hear the doleful wail of fettered humanity on the way to slave markets where the victims are to be sold like horses, sheep, and swine, knocked off to the highest bidder. There I see the tenderest ties ruthlessly broken to gratify the lusts, caprice, and rapacity of the buyers and sellers of men.
By an act of the American Congress not yet 2 years old, slavery has been nationalized in its most horrible and revolting form. Mason and Dixon's line has been obliterated. New York has become as Virginia, and the power to hold, hunt, and sell men, women, and children as slaves remains no longer a mere state institution, but is now an institution of the whole United States. The power is coextensive with the Star-Spangled Banner and American Christianity. Where these go, may also go the merciless slave hunter. Where these are, man is not sacred. He is a bird for the sportsman's gun. By that most foul and fiendish of all human decrees, the liberty and person of every man are put in peril. Your broad Republican domain is hunting ground for men.
I can take one. Your lawmakers have commanded all good citizens to engage in this hellish sport. Your president, your secretary of state enforce, as a duty you owe to your free and glorious country, and to your God, that you do this accursed thing. Not fewer than 40 Americans have, within the past 2 years, been hunted down and, without a moment's warning, hurried away in chains and consigned to slavery and excruciating torture. Some of these have had wives and children dependent on them for bread, but of this no account was made. The right of the hunter to his prey stands superior to the right of marriage, and to all rights in this republic, the rights of God included.
for black men, there are neither law nor justice, humanity or religion. The fugitive slave law makes mercy to them a crime and bribes the judge who tries them. An American judge gets $10 for every victim he consigns to slavery and $5 when he fails to do so. The oath of any two villains is sufficient under this black hell enactment to send the most pious and exemplary black man into the remorseless jaws of slavery. His own testimony is nothing. He can bring no witnesses for himself. The minister of American justice is bound by the law to hear but one side, and that side is the side of the oppressor. Let this damning fact be perpetually told. Let it be thundered around the world that in tyrant-killing, king-hating, people-loving, democratic, Christian America, the seats of justice are filled with judges who hold their offices under an open and palpable bribe and are bound in deciding in the case of a man's liberty to hear only his accusers.
You'll do the next one. You're gonna do the whole page.
In glaring violation of justice and shameless disregard of the forms of administrating law, in cunning arrangement to entrap the defenseless and the diabolical intent, this fugitive slave law stands alone in the analysis of the tyrannical legislation. Slight pause.
Americans, your Republican politics, not less than your Republican religion, are flagrantly inconsistent. You boast of your love of liberty, your superior civilization, and your pure Christianity, while the whole political power of the nation is solemnly pledged to support and perpetuate the enslavement of 3 million of your countrymen. You hurl your anathemas at the crowned-headed tyrants of Russia and Austria and pride yourselves on your democratic institutions, while you yourselves consent to be the mere tools and bodyguards of the tyrants of Virginia and Carolina. You invite to your shores fugitives of oppression from abroad, honor them with banquets, greet them with ovations, cheer them, toast them, salute them, protect them, and pour out your money to them like water. But the fugitives from your own land, you advertise, hunt, arrest, shoot, and kill.
Okay, you go and then you go after. Do the whole page. Yeah, we're very close.
You discourse eloquently on the dignity of labor, yet you sustain a system which, in its very essence, casts a stigma upon labor. You can bare your bosom to the storm of British artillery to throw off a 3-penny tax on tea, and yet wring the last hard-earned farthing from the grasp of the black laborers of your country. You profess to believe that, of one blood, God made all nations of men to dwell on the face of the earth and has commanded all men everywhere to love one another. Yet you notoriously hate and glory in your hatred, all men whose skins are not colored like your own.
Sorry, you know where you are? Yep. Thank you so much.
You declare before the world and are understood by the world to declare that you hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. and yet you hold securely in a bondage which, according to your own Thomas Jefferson, is worse than ages of that which your fathers rose in rebellion oppose. A seventh part of the inhabitants of your country.
Fellow citizens, I will not enlarge further on the national inconsistencies. The existence of slavery in this country brands your republicanism as a sham, your humanity as base pretense, and your Christianity as a lie. It destroys your moral power abroad. It corrupts your politicians at home. It saps the foundation of religion. It makes your name a hissing and a byword to a mocking earth. Be warned, a horrible reptile is coiled up in your nation's bosom. The venomous creature is nursing at the tender breast of your youthful republic. For the love of God, tear away and fling from you the hideous monster, and let the weight of 20 millions crush and destroy and destroy it forever.
Only a few more, so if you haven't read, this is your chance. And 43.
Allow me to say, in conclusion, notwithstanding the dark picture I have this day presented of the state of the nation, I do not despair of this country. There are forces in operation which must inevitably work the downfall of slavery. I therefore leave off where I began, with hope. While drawing encouragement from the Declaration of Independence, the great principles it contains, and the genius of American institutions, my spirit is cheered by the obvious tendencies of the age. Nations do not now stand in the same relation to each other that they did ages ago. No nation can now shut itself up from the surrounding world and trot round in the same old path of its fathers without interference.
Last stanza before we all go together. Can I call upon maybe Ken or Dawn? There we
go. The time was when such could be done, but a change has now come over the affairs of mankind. Walled cities and empires have become unfashionable. The arm of commerce has borne away the gates of the strong city. Intelligence is penetrating the darkest corners of the globe. Wind, steam, and lightning are its chartered agents. Oceans no longer divide, but link nations together. From Boston to London is now a holiday excursion. Space is comparatively annihilated. Thoughts expressed on one side of the Atlantic are distinctly heard on the other. In the fervent aspirations of William Lloyd Garrison, I say, and let every heart join in saying it, God speed the day when human blood shall cease to flow. In every clime be understood the claims of human brotherhood, and each return for evil good, not blows for blow. That day will come all feuds to end, and change into a faithful friend each foe.
Thank you, everyone. That was absolutely beautiful. So we're going to take a very, very brief 5-minute break just to reset the space before we head into our July 5th excerpt. So grab some charcuterie. Oh, sure. If everyone who read wants to come up during that break and we can take a little group photo while we reset, that would be wonderful. No pressure, but it would be wonderful. So yeah, grab yourself a drink at the bar, eat some charcuterie, go to the bathroom, but be back here in 5 because we're going to start right back up again. So thank you so much.
July 6, 2020, 12:18 p.m. Eastern Time. A statue of Frederick Douglass installed in 2018 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the abolitionist's birth was ripped from its pedestal in Rochester, New York on Sunday, the 168th anniversary of one of Douglass's most famous speeches. The statue was found about 50 feet away from its base in Maplewood Park. A finger on the statue's left hand was damaged, as well as the lower part of the statue and its base. Rochester police have not publicly identified any suspects. Nothing else in the park was found to be vandalized or graffitied, and no one so far has claimed responsibility for the damage to the statue of Douglass. In a tweet, President Trump blamed anarchists for the vandalism.
I do not remember to have appeared as a speaker before any assembly more shrinkingly, nor which greater distrust of my ability than I do this day. A feeling has crept over me quite unfavorable to the exercise of my limited powers of speech. The task before me is one which requires much previous thought and study for its proper performance. I know that apologies of this sort are generally considered flat and unmeaning. I trust, however, that mine will not be so considered. Should I seem at ease, my appearance would much misrepresent me. The little experience I have had in addressing public meetings and country schoolhouses avails me nothing of the present occasion.
Frederick? Frederick, are you there? Is everything all right, Frederick?
I am fine, Julia.
You don't sound well. Should I go to the apothecary downstairs?
I said I'm fine.
Well, don't flick your tongue at me, Frederick Douglass. I could be doing other things instead of playing your nursemaid. May I come in?
Julia, I have seen to my own well-being for years now, before you and I ever met, even before Anna.
Well, your wife is not here to take care of you now, and you seem out of sorts. We need to get a change of clothes, make our way to Corinthian Hall, and meet with the other ladies of the society. We need to go over your introductions. Are you sure you're well? Sit down.
It's just the heat, I suppose.
They're saying Rochester in July has never been hotter.
It was never this warm in London.
London is a little more than rain, gray skies, fog, and more rain. In the 2 years we were there together, did you see anything different?
Perhaps living there lowered my ability to tolerate heat.
Perhaps you should lie down.
I'm not made of gossamer, Julia. Apologies. The heat seems to have affected my temperament as well.
Oh, has it? I hadn't noticed.
I suppose I earned that. I should be able to control my emotions better.
Emotion is what has gotten you this far. Or haven't you noticed what you do to crowds when you speak?
I was nearly beaten to death by a mob in Indiana, pelted with rotten eggs in Harrisburg, and even had a small pig thrown at me once. Believe me, I've noticed.
You inspire more hearts than fists. No one speaks more eloquently of the horrors of slavery than you.
Only because I've lived it.
Which is precisely why you are the voice of the movement. Why do you constantly downplay your own considerable contributions?
Pride goeth before a fall.
Abolitionists may rally the troops, but it's Frederick Douglass who increases their ranks. Your reputation...
You think the millions in bondage give a damn about my reputation?
Your reputation is what is bringing people to Rochester on what will be the most unbearably hot July 5th ever. So polish your buttons and stick out your chest. Here, let me straighten your necktie. You are a force of nature, Mr. Douglass. So, your speech.
Is not completed as of yet.
Not completed?
As of yet.
Hundreds of people are coming to the afternoon, and they expect to hear a Frederick Douglass speech.
Hundreds?
500 at least. Remember, we'd planned on selling copies of the speech, and if it's not at the typeset in the next hour, well, we may not be.
I'm just having some trouble with the tone of the speech.
What do you mean?
Finding my voice. So many things I need to address, and the timing isn't helping either.
How so?
Yesterday was July 4th, the great day of American independence.
What has that to do with anything?
The day is a mockery. 2 years into the Fugitive Slave Act, every Negro enslaved and freed is vulnerable to slave catchers, to bounty hunters, and they even talking about taking it west.
You've written forcefully in these subjects before. Why should today be any different?
For all the good it's done, I might as well have written and starred in a minstrel show.
Would it help if I take a closer look at what you've written so far?
Fine. But again, bear in mind that this is not...
completed. It is a work in progress. Yes, I know, Frederick, I know. Honestly, I don't see what your concerns are. It seems...
What is it?
Nothing. It's just... nothing.
And therein lies the reason I'm reluctant to share my work before it's done.
No, it's fine. Truly. Except...
This is just a draft, a scattering of ideas. Fine, what are your concerns?
Well, it's just that the speech is a bit defamatory to abolitionists.
Only to those who should feel guilty.
You chastise.
Those who choose an action in the face of injustice.
You insult.
Truth is not an insult.
You call to task people who have been standing by your side from the beginning.
Well, I apologize for offending their sensibilities. Perhaps the slaves can keep their lamentations to a minimum.
The only thing that we can stand is the thing that we can. Keep your eyes
I understand, truly. Just don't let your frustrations mar the day.
Be nice to them white folks, boy.
There will be people in attendance who mean very much to the cause.
She mean you beholden to the white folks, same as it ever was.
You again?
Frederick, are you listening to me?
She simply means our investors.
I know, the folks that decide whether you got a voice or not.
These are merely people who believe in the cause and want to help.
Long as you say what they want you to say, the way they want you to say it.
There has been no suggestion of censorship.
Now, mind you, I'm not trying to strangle your voice.
That's what people say when they about to do that exact thing. Now, mind you, I'm not trying to, then go right ahead and do it.
Perhaps save the vitriol for some other appropriate venue or occasion. Again, just a suggestion.
That you better follow, boy.
Which I will give some thought, but I will not promise you anything.
Now I need to bring you a change of clothes from home. Oh, Frederick, please try to rest a bit.
Seem like she worried about you more than your wife.
Julia, I assure you I'm fine as I've ever been.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about your stoicism. Fine. Fine, I shall return shortly.
Stoicism, what that mean?
It means enduring pain or hardship without displaying feelings and without complaint.
That must mean I'm stoicism too?
I suspect most enslaved people could be considered stoic.
Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Come in. Anna,
Yeah,
I thought we were meeting later.
thought you might want some lunch. Cornbread and some stew. Miss Julia ain't here?
She's at the hall going over some last-minute details. And you don't have to call her Miss Julia. Julia will do fine.
I don't mind calling her Miss Julia. It's all right.
Where are the children?
Back at the house.
And who's watching them?
Rosetta keeping an eye on them.
Our daughter is an intelligent girl, but she's not old enough to manage a household, even for a short time.
Rosetta, 13. She tell Louis, Frederick, Jr., and Charles to do something, they gon' listen. She loud like you, so mind her.
Just 13.
Frederick, at 13, I was going off on my own, cleaning white folks' houses and doing their laundry. And I ain't gonna remind you what you was doing at 13. You've been gone a lot, so you might not know it, but them children is growing up. You was 2 whole years in England, and you go most every other week giving speeches and, just saying. You got your work to do, so we had to figure out how to do stuff on our own.
True, Anna. You're wise in many ways.
Well, rather have the book learning, Frederick. You'd rather be with folks who read and can talk about all them important things. Miss Julia.
Anna, not again. She is the driving force behind the newspaper, which I shouldn't have to remind you, keeps a roof over our heads and food on our table. Julia and I are in this battle together.
So is we, Frederick. Been in the fight together since 38 when you stole away up into New York. Why is she the one tending to you when she thinks you'd be sick, worrying about whether you eating right? Reading to you so you can relax? Shoot. She'd bury you in a minute if it was white.
She arranges my speaking engagement.
No, she living in our house. Sorry. Her room downright ours. She'd be with you on every trip you take and think your wife ain't good enough for you, Frederick. Y'all walk around town arm in arm. We ain't even do that. She in love with you, Frederick, and not like a friend.
There's no truth to any of it.
A lot of folks think I don't know anything, don't know nothing. But please don't you do that to me, Frederick Douglass. Don't you make me out to be no fool. How your speech going?
I still feel obligated to speak to the significance of the occasion.
Why? I never really celebrated the 4th of July anyway. I didn't mind seeing the parades and the fireworks and all the hoo-dee-doo, but we wasn't really celebrating nothing. Seemed like most times we was just watching other people celebrate, most times. Most times I had to work on 4th of July. Cleaning somebody else's house for the 4th of July party, or washing their clothes so they can go to some parade or party, Frederick. Then gonna come back later and clean it all up. Go home with all the other colored folks who was out cleaning all the white folks' houses and clothes and shining their shoes. Them folks ain't care if we celebrate or not. We was just supposed to be happy because they was happy. What'd you get for 4th of July on the plantation? Extra hours sleep, for you gotta get up and start picking up? Same as every day, Frederick.
The very reason I celebrate July 5th and not the 4th.
Them folks coming to your speech today, you know that? Maybe the time for you to put some shame on the day for them.
I don't believe I've ever heard you speak with such righteousness.
I'm a colored woman in America. Everything I've done since 1838, I did for you. And when I do it for you, Frederick Douglass, I'm doing it for every other colored person in America. Ain't nobody gonna ask me to give no speech, and that's all right. That's fine. Hell, they don't even listen to Sojourner Truth. But colored women been doing more to help black folks be free than any other newspaper you print or any other speech you write. I'll get these stew and cornbread out of your way. I'd serve it up to you, but I don't want to disturb you no more. So I'm going to take my leave. Now, Frederick Douglass, I stay out of your speeches, but you stay out of my kitchen.
John brought the letter and laid it on the table. No one can read them like old John. Read them, let them go. Oh, read them down. Read them down. Read them down. Read them down.
Freedom, freedom, let him go. Freedom, 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 let him go.
Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone so much. I'm just gonna shuffle in here because it's stuck. So if you will hang around for a few minutes, since we have Ken here, I would like to invite up Latoya Bosworth from Mass Humanities, and she's gonna help facilitate us in a discussion with him to talk about his play and some of his process, and she has some questions. And we will also take questions from the audience. So if you two wanna come on up, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Let's see if I can go that way. So that was a wonderful excerpt from the play, and I think it was excellent that we followed it up after having our community reading of Reading Frederick Douglass Together. The first question I want to ask you is, what inspired you to create an audio play that centered the speech that we read earlier?
Well, it was actually Don's here. It was actually got an invitation from Don to write this particular play. And I'm not a big history person, so bear that in mind when you ask me questions. I don't know a whole lot. But I've inadvertently been writing history plays. And this came along, and the subject matter was very intriguing because it's an intriguing person to write about. And narrowing it down, it's kind of a broad life. It's like so many things. How do you write? What are you going to write about? And I focused on that because I thought the play was kind of a turning point. And it's like, what was like the most important aspect? It's the thing that, like, in my mind, changed a little for me. Like, there's the president before that who was giving speech, and he was kind of like, working with other abolitionists, kind of doing their way, the way they wanted him to do it a little bit. But this speech is kind of like a turning point, and a lot of things happened after that. But it was like an important moment, and I was trying to imagine him actually writing. And the speech itself is completely different action, like what might have motivated him to write this speech at that time.
Thank you. And it was brilliant, too, like all of the different perspectives that you brought in, particularly as he is, and of course it was a turning point, right, if you think about it, because he's calling some things out in the speech, as we heard earlier, which took a lot to tell people that, your celebration is a sham. And so we also heard some beautiful music from the choir. Amazing, moving, absolutely. So, and I took a look at like the set list for the entire play, and music, it plays a significant role in the production. You weave together gospel, spirituals, rhythm and blues. How did you select the music, and how do you think it sort of adds to the story?
Well, the person that actually helped with the Eve Wolf, who's not here, but she was like, we did a lot of it over Zoom, which is a weird way to do a play work on a play that way, but it was like combining ideas she had from music originals stuff, and then some stuff that was out there, and crafting a story with the music, and I've never written anything musical before in my life, but as you probably couldn't tell, but I haven't, I'm horrible. But it just like it was a collaboration working together, and some of the suggestions she made, I said, oh, this works with this, and she would read part of the play, and say, oh, I know it'd be a good thing for this, and then send some of that music, and like, yeah, that's kind of works there. And it was like a collaborative effort, but a lot was like original stuff she put together, and then stuff that was already out there that we worked on, and it just came together. But I'm lucky that she was there to help out with that.
Okay, so you had a little musical coordination.
Oh, definitely, because I wouldn't be able to pick out anything. I'm not. No.
So my question is, this is not on the set list, but like of questions, but you brought up something. How did it feel to like hear and see all that happen tonight, to like see this accompanied by these wonderful youth voices?
They were great, like I said, and it's just seeing them like, combined with them seeing them read the speech too, and just having to sing with it was like this, and how it helped make it keep it more modern, because like it's something that happened in 52, I think. But yeah, it's something that happened then, but they added something to it, like hearing them, even though some of the songs they sang were older, but it all worked together. Hearing their younger voices kind of kept it a little fresh, and they say it helped a lot to deliver the message, like, blending two eras together.
Absolutely. I think that was probably one of my favorite parts about tonight, was the intergenerational piece, and hearing them like kind of go really, really silent on certain parts of the speech and go, oh, wow, like, and
hear the relevance of the speech, even though it was written in 1852. So in the play, Douglass faces pressure from his sort of, I'll call them allies, right, who view parts of the speech as too harsh, defamatory. Why is it important to explore the tension between truth-telling and white discomfort?
He, like I said, prior to that point, a lot of times people were asking him to be this particular person. When he first started, Garrison and other guys, other abolitionists was saying, you should probably say it like this. You don't really want to offend this group of people because they need donations, so do it this way. And that, actually at one point, like I said, they were telling him that his dialect wasn't, they couldn't, like he didn't believe he was a slave or was enslaved at some point. And so they asked him, like, could you put like a few more, Southern dialect stuff in there? And I actually wrote another play, but it's a weird thing. It has Sojourner Truth in there. And she talked about, they did the same thing to her, like her famous Ain't I a Woman speech, where that's not the way she originally wrote it. She was, spoke Dutch until she was like 9, lived in New York or whatever, but they made her sound like she was, somewhere
Right
below
off
the
the
Mason-Dixon.
plantation,
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing with him. And I want to make it important, like he was like his own person from day one, and they were trying to make him something else. So I wanted to like make it clear that, he was gonna he was gonna be Frederick Douglass whether they wanted him to be or not. And whether they agree with that or not, and he had fallings out with Garrison and stuff like that. And, it was like some philosophical differences, but also, I think sometimes some of the things I read, like Garrison kind of thought of him as, I don't use the word pet, but he thought he was like, he controlled him. And they had a big falling out one time, I think when Garrison was sick, and Douglass went out on the road, was giving speeches, and Garrison was mad at him for not coming to see about him or something like that. And that was like one of the key things that sparked them falling apart and breaking up. So I wanted to emphasize that, like, people were trying to control him or craft him or whatever like that, but he wasn't going to let that happen. So,
yeah. I really appreciated that part in the play because, again, even though this setting is in 1852, it feels so relevant, particularly when we think about what's happening in the world now and how you have organizations who are saying, we want to fund you, or we want you to tell this story or do this project, or, yeah, we'll pay for you to come, and then they say, hey, don't say that, or don't talk like that, or please don't be sure to mention that because you're going to make people uncomfortable. And so I like that you brought up the idea of people feeling uncomfortable, particularly people who made themselves, identified themselves as allies, right? They're like, she's like, hey, you're talking to the wrong crowd here. And he's like, no, like, you got some work to do too. So,
like I say, you just mentioned it, but yeah, to this day, it's like people tell you, well, yeah, you're protesting, but you're not protesting the right way. And they get mad at like, you're not, so this, and like, you know what? There's no game plan for like a revolution or anything. There's no game plan for protests. Like you get the big protest book and it's got like, like Arthur Murray dance steps. That's not how it works.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that was important. That's what this play is super relevant. And so we also see some meaningful exchanges between Douglass and his wife, Anna Murray Douglass. And how do you think her perspective shapes his thinking and influences the speech too?
Totally, because without her, there wouldn't be a Frederick Douglass.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because she's the one that like, helped him escape by, she sold this fake sailor's uniform, obtained fake papers for him so he can leave from Baltimore to New York, sold all her belongings so she could have money when they got there. And then when he went to lived in Europe and Ireland and London for a while, she's back home, trying to keep the books and keep the house and she's doing all this stuff. And she wasn't like super educated. She was kind of shy, but she wasn't like, the kids got educated, but she was like really just, not, a lot, but she was smart in ways that you can't measure in a book or anything like that. She knew everything.
Right, not formally educated, but definitely a smart woman, right? Even to come up with the idea to help him escape, right, required a certain level of intellect to be able to say, this is how we're going to get you to freedom. So go ahead.
People like the other people, abolitionists, and a lot of white abolitionists or, fans hanging around, they kept suggesting to him like she's not really good enough. You should probably have someone better because someone smarter to show equal or that. And they were like, and then like people would stay at their house, like the Julia Griffiths I think stayed for a while and a couple other people, and they treat her like the maid instead of his wife or whatever. So she needs her own musical play or something.
Yeah, the Douglass family descendants, they'll be releasing a book about her relatively soon about Anna Murray Douglass because she's so unknown, but is such a central figure in the abolitionist movement.
Yeah, and I was going to say too, like I went to see the Douglass's grave in Rochester, and it's like him and his daughter's on one side and Anna's here, and then Julia, the other woman you married is like way over here somewhere, so. I don't know whose idea was that, but, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I thought that was super important to have that conversation. The way that you were able to kind of take these really big kind of topics and put it in, and this was just an excerpt of the play. So like being able to hear in just a few minutes, like you captured so much, specifically when she says like, what I'm doing for you, but I'm also doing for like every Black person, right? So it was amazing how you put that in there. So I just want to give you kudos to that. As Douglass writes, he's visited by a character. The character that we saw over here at the end is referred to as slave. And when it comes to who the characters' names are, who or what does that character represent, and how much interpretation do we leave to the audience?
It's kind of a combination of, like in his autobiography, he talks about different people he encountered when he was enslaved or whatever, and and it's sort of part of him too. It's like the split between, because after a while he knew he was famous, so he's like, going around and, like I said, most photographed man of the 19th century, and all that. But I wondered, like, it's kind of, this is where you began from, and don't lose track of that as fame starts coming in and like that, before you lose track of like who you are, what your purpose is. You can sell, he sold tons of books, he was like photographed everywhere and lauded in a lot of places around the world, but it's like, this is who you kind of were. And it's like a composite, but it's kind of like you. And I want this person to remind you like what you're fighting for, what your whole goal is, what your purpose is.
Yeah, so he could be part of him, Douglass, and also just his people in general. And I love that too, because it kind of speaks to the double consciousness that exists, right, when you are a Black American, and sort of like what W.E.B. Du Bois goes on to speak about later, right? Like it's how I show up here, but then there's always that piece of you that is like, hey, like, don't forget not only where you came from, but also kind of keeping you in check when you're standing on your morals and your ethics, for sure. And my final question is that more than 170 years after Douglass delivered this speech, its themes remain strikingly relevant, as we heard here tonight when we recited it. What do you hope that audiences will take away from experiencing your play?
That as much as things have changed, they have not. Because you heard, a lot of people heard in the speech, and there's certain lines you'll hear like, oh wow, that's now, like, And when you talk about like Republic, whatever, he wasn't making a political statement of one particular thing, but it's like he meant the country, but it's some relevancy going on there. It's a bunch of things that are still relevant, and when he talks about like, you'll welcome somebody from way over there with open arms, but we're standing right here, and you ignore us, and like, it's a lot of relevancy still in there. I just wanted to see that, and I try to mix. That's why I'm glad the music in the original pocket is like, it's some modern music in there, like I think there's a rap in there, and there's some modern stuff, but it's a mix of both, so that this is still going on, and it hasn't resolved itself yet.
And it hasn't resolved itself yet. I like that piece, right? Because it's there to make us continue to think, to question, and to have important conversations about that. Well, I don't have any more questions. They may come up, but I want to just maybe take a couple questions from the audience. If you are able to, you can just kind of stand if you have a question or raise your hand. Oh, there we go. Now I can see. Yes.
The first piece of music, I Can't Breathe.
Haunting.
Was that written for this?
That was
our world.
Actually, that's a good question. I would have to check with E. Wolf on that, but I think it was. She might have gotten that from somewhere. I'm sure exactly. I got to check. Oh, Doc.
Yeah, it was commissioned.
Yep.
It was commissioned.
Yeah.
Just about a year before Ken wrote the play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's a piece of music that we knew about.
And that goes back to that, like, blending the modern with what's going on now, because it connects perfectly. It's like still going on, yeah.
And to open the play with it, first it's breaking down the sculpture,
Exactly.
It just kind of, you get the juxtaposition of now and then, and they're colliding right here.
Yep. Exactly.
It's really powerful.
Yeah, I had to like keep it together back there. Like when I heard the singing of the I Can't Breathe, and I'm like, you're gonna have to talk in a few minutes. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. But like, it was so haunting to like hear them sing that, and then to talk about and kind of, I think brought us back to 2020 and all of this kind of civil unrest that came, and us being kind of like back to that traumatic space, honestly. So that was very moving. Thank you for asking that question. Do we have any other questions? Yes.
I have a perfectly practical question. Where can we enjoy the whole play?
Is it anywhere being performed?
Yes, it is. So I can answer that.
Okay.
So anyhow, I'm Don Sanders, and in addition to other things, I'm the one leading the charge to reopen the Victory Theatre here in Holyoke. And as part of that project, we developed new plays, and we have a music ensemble with Victory players. And so this piece is a piece that, along with an organization, the Art Ensemble for the Atlantic Century, we developed as a new work that would be part of, during COVID, a series of audio dramas, which are now ready, which will be coming out in October. We'll send you information about that. But even more importantly, although it began as an audio drama idea, I felt very strongly that Ken's play is so wonderful and beautiful that it should have a live production as well. We are developing this to go on the tour of New England next summer during the Juneteenth celebrations, which took places specifically associated with Frederick Douglass, like in Bedford, Nantucket, Springfield. He spoke in Springfield, he spoke in Fitchburg, and so it's going to be seen.
Yes.
And I really want to thank Ed. He's been very modest. I think he was recommended to me for a piece that he did about the first, I think the only black soldier from Watertown, Massachusetts. And his ability to dramatize a situation with this fantastic poetic reality is really wonderful. So you will be seeing it. Look for it next summer.
Okay. All right.
And we'll look for the audio drama in late fall.
Just to add on to that, there's a sign-up sheet at the front of the house. So if you want to hit that on your way out, you'll be the first to know once that's available.
All right, last call for questions before we close out. 5, 4. That sounds great. Before we close, I just want to say, again, this is amazing. I can't wait to see it. It's been an amazing night. Mass Humanities is super proud to have supported tonight's event. Absolutely, this year we have supported 76 readings throughout the state of Massachusetts, and so you can visit our website to learn where other readings are taking place all throughout the state, particularly for Juneteenth, July 4th, and even into the fall, and learn more about the program. You just talked about some of the places where Frederick Douglass spoke. We have a ton of resources on there, trauma-informed guide. If you want to talk about having more discussions about this, there is an interactive map of the places that Douglass spoke in Massachusetts with pictures and things such as that. So please be sure to check out our website, masshumanities.org, Reading Frederick Douglass program. And thank you so, so much for staying with us the entire night and participating.
Thank you so much, Latoya and Ken. This was so fantastic. I'll keep it brief and let you all get home to your evenings, but we just wanted to say thank you again to all of our partners, specifically Mass Humanities. You just gave them a round of applause. They're so fabulous, and the National Endowment for the Humanities for also funding this program. Our thanks to Holyoke Media, who were here capturing this event for posterity, and our super thanks to Lighthouse and De La Luz Soundstage for your tech support. Everybody give it up. Thank you so much. This was so wonderful. Please do hit the sign-up sheet on your way out or take a flyer. There is also a flyer for an art show that's going up at the library at the end of the month. And also stay tuned. Our fabulous actress Gloria is hosting an event tomorrow, which is another Reading Frederick Douglass event. So if you want to hear the speech again, you can do that in Holyoke. So yeah, thank you so much. Everyone have a great night, and thank you for coming.